A very warm welcome and very good morning to you, audio viewer. We are glad and delighted to have you again this morning on the Leadership Wednesday show. This being the very last day of January, that is 31st of January 2024. Karibu sana. We have lined up for you a very robust program today. Of course, when you know it is Leadership Wednesday, we bring to you matters of leadership in the country, in our 47 counties, and even right in the grassroots, in different spheres or in different fields: education, agriculture, health, business, state of the nation, and of course, even the state of politics. And of course, just with the main goal, with the main agenda, and with the main desire to better our leadership in the country. As they say, everything falls or rises on a leadership. And therefore you have a contribution, you have a part to play, you have a role to play, I also have a role to play. And when we all merge our roles, of course, we can be in a position to see the country that we've always yearned, the country that we've always had ambitions, and the countries we've always desired to see. Karibu sana on this particular program. And of course, I have my co-host Paul Kagi. Good to see you. Karibu sana.
Yes, good morning, dear viewer, and welcome to our Leadership Wednesday. I hope you are doing fine. And as usual, we are here to be able to bring to you more light on various matters that are happening around our country and even sometimes beyond borders, in social, economic, political, name them. And once again, welcome to the Leadership Wednesday. My name is Paul Kagi. Don't go too far.
Absolutely. And of course, I know quite a number of happenings in the country, as we've seen. We'll be able to highlight quite a number of them with my colleague Paul Kagi. But just to let you know at this very juncture what we are going to focus on today, that is succession politics and the state of the economy. Succession politics and the state of the economy. Now, of course, in these recent days, we've had quite a number of leaders from different areas having this particular talk. And they have been rife in quite a number of regions as to who is supposed to succeed which leaders. Of course, so many Kenyans have actually expressed their disappointment on this particular matter, arguing that this is not the time to talk about succession politics. We still have quite a number of very demanding, okay? We have very grave issues that we have to look into, cost of living, maybe issues to do with even the cost of education, cost of health, and so on and so forth. And so many Kenyans have expressed their displeasure with the leaders that are talking about this succession politics. So this is a topic that we are going to discuss, and later on we have a guest that we have recorded an interview with, that is a governance expert, engineer Crispus Odhemba. We sought his opinions, we sought his views, we sought his feelings about this particular subject, and of course he expressed them, and we will be able to see what is his take as far as this particular subject is concerned. But of course, we also want to make it as interactive as possible, so we are not going to leave you out on this. We want to welcome your suggestions. We want to welcome your perspectives on the same. So we are asking you, what is your take on the current succession politics? What is your take on the current succession politics talks that is happening in quite a number of areas in the country? Are you in support of this succession politics? Do you really even think they need to feature? If yes, you can tell us, or you can support your argument. If you're against or if you're opposed to that, of course, again, feel free to tell us why you think this one might actually affect us as a country in the negative way. You know the drill. 23814 for shortcut platform. 23814. Begin to send your feelings, begin to send your opinions. We are live on our social media pages. Facebook, that is MBCI TV, and you can also catch us live on our YouTube page, that is MBCI TV official. Later on, as we shall be continuing with this particular conversation, we'll be glad to also see some of your views on this particular subject. But before then, of course, Kagi, so many other things have actually been making headlines across this 1 week.
Yes, correct, Mangicho. And as usual, we are going to see what is making headline today, and even the last maybe few days in our dailies. And there is one interesting story that is here regarding to the high cost of living, and it is particularly on a 1,000 note. This is the highest denomination in Kenya. When you have 1,000, you feel you have a very strong note. But the way things are going, the value of 1,000 shillings is dropping day by day. And there was a survey which was done, which is revealing that the value of 1,000 shillings is dropping. That means if you go with 1K in a supermarket, the items that you are taking home with 1,000 as compared to the last 6 months is very different. Today, Mangicho, if I take you for a cup of tea somewhere, or maybe a bite of nyam chom, I think I cannot carry 1,000 alone.
Otherwise, we'll be forced to remain there.
Yes. But before,
yes.
If I just carry 1,000, the both of us,
yes,
we just go, eat well, drink, and go home with some leftovers.
With some balance, sure,
yeah.
Sure.
But today I have to be very careful.
But today it has to be more than that.
It has to be more than that.
Wow.
Yeah, you see, because of the way things are moving, someone say that challenges make people reason or even think. And because of the challenges of the high cost of living, Kenyans have come up with various ways to survive.
They say necessity is the mother of invention.
Exactly. So you see, even yourself, if you could recall how many times you have visited a supermarket, there could be less than the way you used to visit there before.
Sure.
Personally, I have taken time without going there. Because the money that I have, I'm looking for the most essential commodities that I need to use this money. You see? For example, if you want to buy a kilo of sugar, above quarter of that money, almost half of that money is going to 2 kgs of sugar. Is almost going to 1,000 shillings.
Yes.
You're remaining with around 5 something. All right? And therefore, Kenyans are coming up with ways to be able to survive. Number one is reducing unnecessary purchases.
Okay.
If you used to buy some leisures in the supermarket, today you cannot do that. I think even children are affected at homes, whereby you buy some goodies to your children. Sometimes you do your mathematics. Do you buy goodies or do you buy what is necessary for the children in the morning?
What is essential?
Yes. And that's how it starts. We need to quicken on how to stabilize our shilling.
Sure.
Because I think by yesterday was around 167.
To the dollar?
Yes, to the dollar.
Oh, okay.
And that's how a shilling for Kenya loses its value. When the exchange is too high, you find that money is a little bit not very healthy to you. If you go to countries like Uganda and Tanzania, our East African community partners, you'll see that their currency is a little bit very weak. It's because of this kind of issues that we are seeing slowly by slowly. And yesterday I was reading an article which was trying to talk about, I think, yesterday's dailies, which was trying to say that the government should quickly put measures as early as now on how to stabilize our shilling exchange with other currencies in the globe.
Wow.
And for example, on how to pay some debt like Euro bonds. If it is not done before, if you wait for the last minute, the deadline, you know, Kenyans love working with the deadline.
Sure.
No? If you wait for the last minute deadline, it is going to have a ripple effect on our daily activities. And therefore, yesterday Kenyans really expressed their reservations on the way things are moving, and we are worried if 1,000 shillings is this far. How about if you have a 500 shillings, which is a very strong currency? And therefore, it's a wake-up call to the authority to be able to arrest the situation in advance.
Sure.
So that you don't get into situations like Zimbabwe, like our neighboring countries.
Yeah.
But we have an opportunity to be able to rectify everything, isn't it?
Exactly.
And yesterday, Azimio was giving a threat to the government that they need to work on the high cost of living, and they came up with a new way to be able to handle this matter. And they say they are going to take, I don't know why, the president direct to court to force him to put measures on reducing the cost of living?
Yeah, a very, very serious issue, Kagi, there, and you've really highlighted very key points. Yeah, because I remember there were those years a shilling would trade to, was it $1, 80 shillings?
80 shillings.
Yes.
They stayed there for long.
Because that was a very common, it was very common to hear. It's just a few years ago. So hearing that today it's to 160.
Yes.
Actually, it's really quite, it's an unfortunate turn of events. And like you've said, and I think this is something that most Kenyans would agree, especially most Kenyans, and of course, and actually, just like you mentioned, the essentials that most Kenyans would find themselves having is basically to do with food.
It's food only.
So most Kenyans have now been left majority. We're talking about majority because now food is a very, very basic item. It's a very basic need, a very basic commodity. And that is now what you'll find that this is what most people would just want maybe to get. Otherwise, all these other items that maybe most people feel they can actually do away with, they are doing away with. So I think there is very, very urgent need for us to look into this particular issue. And I know we have even the committee of, is it the economy, the experts, okay, the economy, the committee of experts, okay, that this particular government, led by David Ndi. Yeah. I think this is the moment that we really need to see these people actually putting these particular matters into consideration, because if they are there, they need to see what is it that we need to do. We don't want to look at, to be like what you're talking about, Zimbabwe. Okay, it was very pathetic
situation.
Yeah, very pathetic situation, and it makes even things become very, very difficult. Yeah.
Away from that, there is an issue which is coming up. I hope you are aware that the government is, through the Ministry of Education, it is proposing to be able to devolutionize the issue of the ECED, the basic primary school. And this matter has really brought a lot of resistance from the education sector within the counties, especially within the Council of Governors. And you see, according to the structures of the devolution, there are only few areas which were devolved. Number one was the issue of health. And number two, the issue of what they call the pre-primary education. That is the ECDE. But for other higher basic primary school was left with the Ministry of Education in Nairobi. But the government is seeing another way to be able to capture the entire education sector, whereby they are planning again to take over the pre-primary education sector. But the officials from our counties are saying no, no, no to this.
Yes.
Because according to Constitution, this is a matter which was devolved. They don't understand what structures are being used to take over again the issue of the pre-primary education to the national government. The nursery school, what you call the nursery school, the ECDE, all of them. But the government has its own maybe reservations on this matter. And one of the things I think they are overseeing is how the counties have been managing our health sector. I don't think, Mangicho, or maybe according to your observation, whether you can attest that the counties have been managing our health sector properly as compared to there before they were being devolved.
Yeah, I think we've had challenges. We've had challenges, especially in terms of even the way the remuneration of the public health workers in the counties, even to do with infrastructure. So I think there is really very, very big need there, and very serious need there for us maybe to look into that particular issue. And Kagi, you agree with me that when it comes to these ECDE teachers, these are very important personnel, because they are the ones that are actually entitled, they are the ones that are actually mandated to help our children when they are at that very, very formative stage. And we've had a lot of problems with them, okay? So many of them, even their plight, their welfare has not actually been looked into with a very, very good perspective, or maybe with a very, very impressive mechanism. So I think even as we look into this and maybe find out what is it that is really maybe informing the national government maybe to want to bring the management of ECD back maybe to the national limelight or maybe at the national level, it's important for us to make sure that we find out the exact needs of these particular teachers, the exact welfare of these particular teachers, and how they actually need to be looked into. Because what we've seen, the wrangling that has been there, some of the county's government, of course, not making them to be permanent. And I think these are some of the issues that have actually been bringing a lot of problems as far as ECD is concerned.
Yeah, they said that one of the challenges they are facing is underfunding in those departments. Of course, we know that they are having a little challenge with the funding of the county operations. You are aware that the governors were given some money, they were given some money by the, not per se being given some money, there were some proposals to give their annual spendings, which they said is very little.
So they actually declined. It's like they declined that particular offer. I think it was like 2 days ago where they met with I think the deputy president was in that. I think it had been proposed that they be given, I don't know whether it is 300 billion or 300 and something billion, but they wanted 400 plus billion. And of course, one of the questions that most people have actually been asking on that particular issue again is what exactly can we actually see on the ground? Because there has been that particular issue that there is very less that we are seeing these county governments doing other than the recurrent expenditure. So even before, of course, they might have very valid reasons that the 300 billion is quite little for us to do what is it that we need. But there are those who will ask, okay, show us, what is it that you've been doing?
What we have given you so far.
300 billion. So that at least we can increase, because as far as the avenues for siphoning public funds, I think we've not yet been in a position to fix. And that is why most Kenyans are actually worried that, okay, we might actually increase, we might actually agree with your proposal, we might support it. But how sure are we that this is not just going to be money that is going to be mismanaged and misused?
There was a report which was being signaled by the, I think, print yesterday, that there is a lot of corruption among the public servants. I think they've started a series of exposing some of the public servants who are really in corruption when it comes to serving public. And it's good to also say that when the government says that it's going to fight this corruption, I think it's good to leave to the word with the help of the judiciary to be able to fight this vice, which is becoming a real cancer to our republic for many years. We have not seen a tangible way of handling this matter. But we believe that as we go forward, maybe we are going to arrest the situation, because we are losing a lot of money. I don't know whether we still lose 2 billion per day, as per the former President Uhuru's sentiments, that Kenya is losing 2 billion per day. I don't know whether we still lose the 2 billion, but maybe we will see from the control of budget.
I think it is something that we really need to look into. I saw that particular story, and it's an investigative piece being done by the Nation Group. And of course, actually, even the headline there yesterday was quite scaring, because they were talking about a broken system. And they were actually even outlining the way things are not actually happening from acquisition of basic items like the IDs. They were saying that it is becoming hectic for so many Kenyans. Something that was very, very easy for you to get. I'm told right now it is taking very long. The processes are looking very, very unfortunate. They also talked about situations and conditions in public hospitals, quite grave again. And of course, what we were talking about, that for one to get some services, they are asked actually to give some of these kickbacks. I think that is an area that really needs to be checked.
Along with that, we can go away from the country. There is a guy called the Imran Khan. Imran Khan is a former premier in Pakistan. And this guy, who was a former prime minister, was sentenced for 10 years in jail in case in which he was charged with leaking state secrets. What I'm getting interested on in this story is whereby someone who has been in power is being held accountable for maybe some things he did which were not within the legal framework. And Pakistan is one of the countries that is very popular in handling previous cases with prominent personalities.
Right.
You know, when you go to a country like Pakistan and I think China, they are leading in bringing to account those people who have been in authority and they exited power.
Sure.
Right? I don't know why we have never in Africa maybe borrowed some leaf from these guys to be able to arrest the vice of corruption, which is very rife in our continent. I think the day we shall do one.
We might see a lot of improvement.
A lot of improvement.
Yeah, in the way our leaders actually manage our resources.
Yes.
And it will actually make so many of them to be worried and to be afraid of mismanaging and embezzling our resources. What you're saying is very true, because I think even in this particular program, we've had quite a number of leaders that we've always talked about, we've always shared with and giving comparisons between Kenya and South Korea, I don't know, Singapore and Malaysia, which at one particular point we are being told that we are at the same level economically. But one of the things that we know made these countries to actually shoot and maybe leave a country like this way behind is because of the strict measures they have in terms of actually dealing with graft or dealing with corruption. And so, Kagi, I think I agree with you. Maybe we have to see what is it. We need to be serious. Of course, I know we have laws, but it is unfortunate that even despite having these particular laws, we still see people engaging in some of these vices, and very little is actually happening to them. And of course, it sends the wrong signal, because in this era of a lot of information, the era of social media, people know what is it that people are doing. Therefore, when maybe other people see others engaging in these vices, malpractices, and nothing is done to them, so you can just imagine what is it that they're going to do. They're just going to say, okay, let us emulate them, let us follow them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, yesterday there was a very interesting story that was there, which we had discussed before, but it came up strongly yesterday in a different angle. I can read that subheading, which was saying, Kenyans lack skills for foreign job market, reveals Labour PS. When I was going through this article, there's something I came to realize, which had not clicked in my mind also, that the president is doing a lot of effort to secure some job opportunities for our young people. But one thing came out through the PS for Labour, that even though there are many job opportunities out there, many young people, they don't have skills for these jobs. And I was feeling for our nation, or maybe for our young people, that jobs are here, especially in Europe, but you don't have enough skills for these jobs.
Sure.
Yeah, because you cannot employ someone who doesn't have skills for that job. And most of the jobs that are being available are the hands-on skills jobs, which many people don't have. For example, those who have from the universities, they are lacking the hands-on skills. And the PS was advising our education system that we should come as a nation to come up with a formula on how we are going to help our young people to get the skills they are needed to secure these jobs. And he was saying, yes, if you have come from campus, let us create some, what we call the diploma courses, which are going to equip these young people from the campuses with some skills to help them to be able to secure these jobs. Because yes, you are there, but when you're taken for interviews, or maybe according to your CVs, you don't have enough skills to be able to execute those jobs. And therefore, we have a very serious, I think, challenge there. And we can use this early revelation to be able to arrest the situation and come up with a candid solution on how we are going to do this.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, because I know for a long time we've had that particular challenge of majority of Kenyans looking for these white-collar jobs.
Yes.
But we are saying the society has changed, the market dynamics have changed. It's now those who are hands-on, those who have the skills as something that you can actually do with your hands. This is what the modern society, the 21st century, is actually looking for. Of course, I know we have TVET institutions, and maybe this is a discussion, Kagi, that we can even escalate maybe in the future in this particular program, and maybe see some of the experts that we can be able to bring so that we find out what is it that really needs to be done. If it is going for these particular courses, have we put the necessary infrastructure? Because it is one thing to say, let's train our students the courses that require them to actually gain some of these skills. But it's another thing for us to ensure that the infrastructure that is needed, the resources that is actually needed for us to make sure that our students have these particular skills for them to actually thrive in these particular courses. Of course, I know this is also in line now with the CBC, and of course this is what now the new curriculum, the competence-based curriculum will actually be looking at. That is what to do with the competence and maybe the strengths of pupils and students.
Yeah, like this PS Mr. Mwandime was saying, in German we have 250,000 job opportunities.
250?
Can you imagine?
That is quite,
and
a lot.
Yeah, there's something that I want to quote him here, and he said that we need to retool the graduates and other job seekers. It is important they undertake postgraduate studies on practical or technical skills for them to comfortably operate in their fields. Yeah. That's where we are.
It's like taking them back to the factory again and be in a position. We need to do what is it there, because 250, you can imagine the way we are having this particular challenge in the country, and there is an opening for 250, then you are told that they cannot go because they don't have the skills. I think this is something that is really going to disappoint so many people. But it is not late. Let's therefore see what are some of these skills that we are being told are required in those foreign countries, and let us do what we have. Of course, we have all these institutions. It's only for us now to ensure that the necessary measures are put for them to actually be in a position to benefit from the same. Of course, Kagi, we have, there was another story that I had seen about, of course, you know, in the last few days we've had the wrangling between the judiciary and
executive,
even though most people are actually saying the judiciary does not have a problem. It is actually the executive that attacked the judiciary. But I've seen that the Chief Justice, that is Martha Koome, she said that, remember she met with the President, and the opposition was very disappointed, and even so many other Kenyans were also very against that particular move. But she's come out in the open to say that talking with the executive does not necessarily mean that the judiciary is actually giving up on its autonomy. Yeah, if I can actually quote her, talks don't mean giving up on autonomy. So she's still adamant, she's still maintaining the position that the judiciary is still autonomous, the judiciary is still independent, but of course, because these are state organs, the executive and also the parliament, there is no way that we can say that this one will do its work without necessarily needing the other one. But needing one another does not necessarily mean that we have to do as maybe one of them. So the three areas
they have not been captured by the executive.
Sure.
Yeah, correct. And it's good to respect the independence of our institutions. There is a beauty when an institution is independent in its operation.
Exactly.
For example, if the legislature is independent in its operation, it's so beautiful.
Yes.
Because they can be able to make their decisions without any influence from the executive. But you see, in any country in the world, any government would love to have control over the legislature, because that is where the laws are being cooked and served.
Sure.
So if a government does not have enough numbers in parliament, it's not very new. Even in US, I have seen these things like in Russia, in German, whereby if the president or the person who wins the seat does not have a reasonable number to help them run the government, of course they must derive ways on how to run the government.
That is very true. Our director is telling me we can take a short breathe at this particular point, but you can expect a candid discussion with Engineer Crispus Odhimba, governance expert on succession politics and the state of the economy. Continue giving us your feedback on 23814, our social media pages, Facebook, that is MBCI TV, and YouTube, that is MBCI TV Official. What is your take on the current succession politics talks at different areas in the country? We are coming back with much more.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Next on Akili Shambani.
Karibuni sana hapa Nakuru. Hapa ni Nakuru One Stop Shop. Hii ni tu ni shop moja. One of the many that we have.
Mbona kamua ni silage?
Hii silage making huwa inatumia kitu inaitwa compaction. Unafaa kucompact, uitoe ile hewa ndio isiharibike.
Na inanukia kitu tamu.
Hiyo sasa ndio quality ya kwanza.
Na unajua sisi mbinu za kitambo tukiwa na wanyama tulikuwa tunawatia enda msituni, wanakula nyasi tu, wanakuja tunawapa maji, tunakunywa maji mtoni.
Ile challenge iko na wakulima wengi ni kutoelewa ile tunaita TMR kwa kimombo, pia hiyo ni total mixed ration.
Mbona nisijitengeneze hii silage mwenyewe nyumbani kama mkulima, ninunue?
Balance yako inakujanga kwa silage, ubalance na minerals na ubalance na concentrates.
Kikombe imetoboka, utasemaje kwa kizungu?
Hey, come look at this.
Kikombe imetoboka. The cup have a puncture.
Kukande kwa kizungu?
The person is unholy.
Ulisikia wapi?
Unholy.
Aya, kuna mahali fulani kwa hii dunia, na nataka uniambie ni wapi. Kuna mahali fulani kwa hii dunia where today comes before tomorrow. Ni wapi?
Jerusalem.
Kuna huyu mnyama anaitwa nyati. Nyati kwa kizungu anaitwa nani?
Hippopotamus.
Kutulia ni tuli na kufunga?
Fu. Fu.
Life is brimming with moments worth celebrating. The dreams we chase, the connections we cherish, the laughter that fills our hearts. These are the true treasures. But sometimes, the path to those moments can feel clouded by financial worries. What if you could invest in a future where chasing your dreams isn't just a desire, but a reality? With N-Wealth Capital, small steps lead to big possibilities. With N-Wealth Money Market Fund, you can secure your financial future for a better tomorrow. Meticulously crafted for growth, carefully managed for safety of your investments and growth, you can invest as little as 1,000 Kenyan shillings. Whether you yearn for the freedom to travel, the joy of owning a home, or the security of a comfortable retirement, we enable your dreams to reality. Sign up today through www.nwealth.co.ke/capital or call 0700 617 443 and secure a lifetime of financial well-being and dignity through N-Wealth. N-Wealth Capital Unit Trust Scheme is approved by CMA, which does not take responsibility for the financial soundness of the scheme. Prices of shares and income may fluctuate and the right to redeem shares may be suspended. N-Wealth Capital Limited is a subsidiary entity of N-Wealth Financial Services Limited with regulatory approvals to provide pensions, investments, and insurance services.
Welcome to Africa International University, where education meets transformation. At AIU, we don't just educate, we inspire and innovate, shaping Christ-centered leaders who will transform Africa and the world. Our academic programs cater to every ambition: certificates, diplomas, bachelor's, postgraduate, master's, and PhDs. Join our international community and embark on an exciting academic journey that goes beyond borders. We lead, we innovate, we inspire, because at AIU, we are more than a university. We are a family with a common goal of transforming the world. The time is now. Enroll in AIU and be a part of a university in the heart of Africa, with Africa on its heart. Africa International University, where dreams take flight and leaders are born.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Welcome back, and you are watching the Leadership Wednesday program right here on MBCI TV, your favorite channel. Thank you so much. And of course, we're having this very interesting conversation on succession politics and of course the state of economy in the country. This is a very major story. Of course, we know as a country we've been affected by the kind of politics that we've been having, and so many people blame even the state of the economy blame the state of the economy on the nature of politics that we normally have. There are those who believe that if we have our politics bad, if we have our politics distracted or actually destroyed, then it will basically translate to our economy also being translated. But if we can fix our politics, there are those who believe that we'll have done a very great job in fixing our economy. So fixing the politics comes before fixing the economy, not fixing the economy. You can fix the economy, but if you don't fix the politics, then there is a very likelihood or a very high chance that the economy will still be in a mess. Therefore, that is why we want to have this particular conversation. And of course, you can continue also giving us your opinions on this particular matter. And you can catch us on our Facebook page, that is MBCI TV, and on our YouTube page, that is MBCI TV Official. And of course, you can also catch us, or you can give us your views, you can give us your opinions, you can give us your perspectives on our shortcut platform, that is 23814, 23814. The question that we are asking, or the point that we want you to give us your contribution on is, what is your take on the succession politics that we've actually been hearing, or we've actually been maybe even seeing in our news or in our media stations across different leaders or across different political divide? You can continue giving us highlights, and of course we'll be able to see. So we also have our reporter Vincent Kimtai. We always give him an opportunity also interact with Kenyans, get their opinions, get their views on what they think about the subject that you're talking about. And of course, he also went to the streets and got this particular information from Kenyans. Let us see what they are thinking about succession politics and the state of economy. Karibu, Vincent Kimtai.
Thank you, Mangicho Mola and Paul Kagi. And from the topic of discussion here, I'll be speaking with Kenyans concerning the issue of succession politics that politicians have already started in different parts of the Kenya. I'll be speaking to Kenyans to find out their opinions concerning the issue. And I will starting with this guy here who will be speaking to us. So you'll start with your names, then tell us, we have seen politicians starting early campaigns. I don't know, what can you say concerning that?
My name is Dennis Uduri Nyaginde, and just based on what you've asked me, I can say that early politics, sometimes it can make those leaders to become reluctant in their duties. So that's why it's not advisable for them to start early campaigning. You can remember when you heard the speech of our Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, he said last time that the people of Mount Kenya should avoid this early politics, especially speculating on who should success him as the DP 2027. And again, I heard the opposition leader, while he was speaking in Kisumu, he was saying that it is not good for an MCA or an MP to start campaigning as early as now, because they have the roles to play for now. They are chosen by people to discharge their mandates. So the mandates that are given by people, it is not supposed to be now put aside and they let themselves get into politics. You know, if they start now campaigning as early as this, it will make even the people to lose confidence on the leaders that they chose. So one of the things that maybe we advise leaders, even if you hear the spot, if you can hear these people that maybe talks about the political analysts, they say that these people should focus on what can help the people who voted for them, because right now is the time for them to execute the roles they were given, not to go into politics.
Saizi hatuko ready for elections, walikuja wakatuomba kura, so what they should do ni wafanye kwanza kazi, then 2026 hapo 2027 then tutajua kama tuwarudisha ama tunawatoa.
Na ni kweli kwamba katika taifa la Kenya mara mingi mtu akishachaguliwa ama wanasiasa wakishachaguliwa wao wanasahau majukumu yao, kutekeleza majukumu na kuanza kupiga hatua za mbele katika uchaguzi ujao. Kwa hivyo mi upande wangu sio vyema, kwa sababu walituahidi wafanye kazi. Kwa hivyo waachane na siasa za kuangalia mbele kisiasa, ila wanafaa kutekeleza majukumu walioahidi wananchi.
I think this is not the right time for them to campaign, because we have understand that in 2022 they did their campaigns, and right now we are witnessing a high cost of living. So it is good for leaders to sit down and prepare for us what they are going to do for us. I think the president is trying hard, but now the problem is the people who are surrounding the president, because they are the one who are starting early campaigns. And we want to ask all our leaders, and we want to urge all our leaders to please come up and tell us what you are going to do for us, because I think for now we are living in a hard economic, so not now.
You know, I don't think it's really good to start campaigns now, because the Ruto regime has only finished, I think, the first year, then the second year. I think it's too early. They should just allow Ruto to finish this phase, and we see how he's going to do in this regime, and then the campaigns can start. I think it's too early.
So sijui unaweza semaje kuhusiana na kampeni za mapema?
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Geoffrey Odari. Nasema kuhusu kampeni, wanasiasa lazima wajipange mapema, sababu kulingana na economy ya sahi na kampeni yenye ilipita, kulingana na venye walikuwa naahidi watu itakuwa, unaona hiyo mipango ilifail. Sasa venye ilifail hivyo, sasa lazima mtu anaona ajipange mapema ili umchague kampeni yenye inakuja. Lazima wajipange mapema. Sasa wakikaa tu hivyo, alafu ikifika hiyo siku, unaona kila mtu atajipata position yenye haistahili. Sasa kwa hivyo lazima waanze tu mapema hivi.
Ni kama kampeni ya mapema inaathiri maendeleo? Kama wakianza kampeni mapema inaathiri maendeleo?
Yes, yaadhiri. Sawa, wanajitetea upande yao. Inaadhiri ndio, lakini sasa wewe mwananchi wa chini ndio utaumia tu. Hao wanajitetea huko. Ikifika hiyo wakati wape.
Wanasiasa kazi yao ni kupata tu pesa. Hata kusaidia wananchi. Tunatabika, hakuna kazi, wananchi ukipata pesa wanatumia kwa njia zao.
Pia wafanyie wa Kenya kazi badala ya kuanza kampeni.
Wafanyie wa Kenya kazi kwanza.
It is not right time for campaigning. The right time now is for working for wananchi. It is now time for preparing for roads, preparing for good things for their members. The promises that they gave us is what they should deliver by now. They should not tell us again for 2027. That will come after. So they should provide for us first, then those will come.
You have seen the MCI. I don't know what can you say about the MCS that maybe sometimes they engage with the people outside there, maybe in villages, and in the process of engaging the people, you find themselves saying that they will be vying for maybe MCA for the governor seat. What can you say about that?
It is better to start early, the way they are starting, but sincerely speaking, you can't say that I'm going for governor, even if you are an MP, nothing you've delivered as an MP. First, you must deliver something as an MP, is when we can select you as a governor next election. We can see your effort as an MP. You know, if you cannot work as an MP, how sure are you that you will work good if you are now a governor? You should work good. If you are MP, then we see your effort. Then next time we can vote for you as a governor so that you can add us more.
Mangicho and Paul Kagi, those are the sentiments of the Kenyans concerning the issue of oil campaigns, where we have seen most of them saying that this is not the right time for the politician to start engaging for campaigns. Instead, they should work for Kenyans and to wait for 2026 so as to start for campaigns for 2027. We have also seen the different stakeholders from the nation, religious leaders calling upon the politician to stop early campaigns for 2027. And here today we have seen Kenyans also calling for politicians to stop early campaigns. Reporting for Mid Morning Park, MBCI TV, my name is Vincent Kimutai.
That was very, very awesome and good work there, our reporter Vincent Kimutai, of course, engaging Kenyans on this particular matter. Kagi, it's like Kenyans are not supporting MPs to begin, or politicians for that particular matter, to begin this early campaigns. Apart from one gentleman that is saying they have to.
Yeah. And he's saying they have to.
Yeah, in 40 seconds, my director is telling me we need to go to the other interview.
Okay, we should always avoid what you call the election campaign cycle, which affect our nation in a very, very big way. If you go back to the election campaign this time around, I think we will lose everything. We should give ourselves time to be able to look for development.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And of course, like we had promised to you, we have an interview we talked with this gentleman by the name Engineer Crispus Wadhimba to also get his perspectives. He's a governance expert, to also get his views on this particular matter on succession politics and the state of the economy. And you can get into it right away. Very good morning to you and welcome to the Leadership Wednesday. Of course, you know when it is Wednesday. We prepared for you the Leadership Wednesday program where we discuss matters of leadership, of course, across different areas: education, health, agriculture, state of the nation, state of governance, and so on and so forth. And we are delighted to have you again on this morning. Now, today, we're going to look at quite a number of issues pertaining to the governance and, of course, also the state of the nation. Now, in the recent past, we've seen succession politics taking center stage, especially in Mount Kenya and also in other regions, and we want to find out how these can actually affect matters development. And is it really time for us, even as a country, to discuss matters succession politics? And of course, we are also on record with the president, also in the government, also saying that as far as the economy is concerned, we are stable, especially after fixing the debt issue. Now, what does it mean for the average Kenyan who has actually been grappling with harsh economic times? These are some of the issues that you can expect to look forward to. And of course, later on, we'll be back with my colleague Paul Kagi on the other side. I have a guest today to help us get into the nitty-gritties of this particular discussion. And this is Engineer Crispus Wadhimba. He's also a governance analyst and political analyst. He's here to help us get into the soul and the heart of this particular discussion. Engineer Wadhimba, good to have you today.
Thank you so much and Happy New Year, and wish you the very best 2024.
And Happy New Year to you. How's the year started for you?
Well, it has started on a positive note in the sense that we have seen business pick up early in January. A lot of our clients are sending inquiries of things they want to do this year. So it seems Kenyans have overcome the burden of the elections, the burden of too much politics in 2023, and now Kenyans are looking forward to rebuilding their economy, their livelihoods. and probably they will put aside politics and the noise that comes in politics and focus on what matters most, which is putting bread on the table and meeting the needs, livelihood needs on a day-to-day basis.
That is quite interesting, Engineer, because it's also coming at a time when we've had what is actually happening, especially in the Mount Kenya region, the succession politics. Of course, we've had leaders, we've had the president coming out very strongly and very clearly, urging leaders to tone down on these succession rhetorics. Maybe from where you're sitting in here, maybe, what do you think maybe informed this kind of succession discussion?
For me, I'm saddened to see leaders elected through a very expensive election that costed the taxpayer so much money, that costed even them who are elected a lot of money, that costed the entire country a huge economic burden, and slightly less than 20 months, people are now talking about succession politics. Yet, 2-3 years ago, they were talking about minimum returns on coffee, minimum returns on milk, minimum returns on potatoes. They talked about opening roads that will make sure the farm produce in central Kenya reach to the market. We were talking about how we'll tackle the scourge of alcohol in the central Kenya. We were talking about how we'll empower the young people in central Kenya. But suddenly, many of those young elected leaders are now talking about succession politics, forgetting the masses of Kenyans from central Kenya who put them in the office. And they did not put them in the office for succession politics. They put them in office for one important thing, to improve their livelihoods. So that when you hear that issue of livelihoods not being discussed, and now people are discussing succession politics, it is very sad. If you look at the last administration we had of Uhuru Kenyatta and Ruto, when succession politics took precedence between 2018 and 2022, you saw how the economy suffered. We saw how issues of governance were mishandled. We saw how corruption thrived when issues of succession were at the center stage. So this is another thing that will happen. People who are discussing succession politics will also give fertile ground for corruption, because succession politics is expensive. It means I must spend money to secure my position. And where does that money come from? That is corrupt money. That is the money that me and you are going to lack in terms of improving our lives, but it will go into bad politics. So it's very sad to hear about that, and it's very unfortunate that it is coming from central Kenya, the voting bloc that contributed over 43% votes for Kenya Kwanza. And it is in this Kenya Kwanza administration that we are counting on that the people of central Kenya will be able to transform their lives without having the presidency for the first time. They have always relied on the presidency to transform their lives. But this is their chance to show that even without the presidency, we can be a strong community, we can be a strong economy, we can be an economy that is able to find solutions within ourselves. But it seems without the presidency, the central Kenya people are confused.
And actually, Engineer, what you've taught is very, very key, because it's very important, maybe even for wananchi to be in a position to, of course, we know Kenya is a highly political environment, and normally very many times the political stakes are very high. But it's important to make it clear that it's very, very challenging or quite difficult to have politics and maybe development moving parallel.
What saddens me is that Mount Kenya region is a beacon of the economy of this country. Say 40 to 50% of the Kenyan GDP is from central Kenya or the Mount Kenya region, or the activities around the Mount Kenya region. But it appears that strength is only available when one of their own is president, because maybe that is the only time that the Mount Kenya region is able to listen to one person. But when there is no president who is from Central Kenya, it seems that community is able to, does not speak in one voice. And that's very sad. Unfortunately, if you look at the other communities, for example, the Luo community, they have never had a president, but they speak in one voice. What one of their own says is final. If you go to Ukambani, they have never been president, but they speak in one voice because they have one person they rally behind. So the unfortunate thing is that successive leaders from Central Kenya who have been president have never left or established a leader for the community. And therefore, despite the large numbers in terms of votes, despite the huge economic base they hold, they are not able to leverage on that to continue bringing or attracting development in the area when there is no presidency within the
Although engineer, maybe those who have a contrary opinion would argue that the mere fact that we have a deputy president from this particular region automatically became maybe the mouthpiece of the region. So the others maybe who are now coming, those who think it is really an anomaly.
Unfortunately, from what the ground is saying, is that the holder of the deputy presidency position is being threatened as the de facto leader of the community because he's the most powerful leader from that region at the moment. But there are people of a contrary opinion in terms of his influence in government, his capability to attract what they negotiated for. So his leadership is being questioned. You understand? So those who have a contrary opinion, they argue that we don't have that person who supersedes appointed power or elected power to be able to command the influence of the entire region. So there are people in other communities who, even if they are not in office, even if they are not elected, they command a lot of influence within their community and outside their community. And that's what we lack in the Mount Kenya region.
Sure. So what needs to happen, because engineer, it is a matter of maybe those who think they also need maybe to have that influence and maybe to use that particular word, the kingpin of a region like that. Be it as it may, what needs to be done? Is it that they need to hold those ambitions until the right time comes?
One of the things we need to understand, we need to learn from Western Kenya, that despite their huge numbers, they have remained a community that plays number 2, number 3, number 4. If we continue in this trend and don't correct ourselves, we will also fall into the same trap. And unfortunately, we have a lot of problems that are, we call emerging problems, especially with the young people who are stuck into alcoholism. We have a challenge where our cash crops are not attracting the kind of prices that they used to attract. We have a challenge where when it comes to government putting money in terms of supporting agriculture, the government only focuses on maize. They don't focus on what we, the people of Mount Kenya, produce. We have had farmers from North Rift insist our farm produce today should be 4,500 per bag. And they are given, and it's budgeted for. Have you heard somewhere they are saying the farm produce for Central Kenya should have this minimum price and it is budgeted for and they are given? Because if you have that kind of an arrangement, we will not have the challenges we are having currently with coffee, macadamia, milk, potatoes, and other things that are coming out from that region that are the economic backbone of that region. So our numbers are not a guarantee that we will always be an influential community. The only guarantee is if we can come together, speak in one voice, and for purposes of leadership, identify one person who, whether is in office or not, we will be able to listen to him or her.
And putting into consideration, recently the president reading the report to some of these young MPs who are being believed to be the one that have caused this particular discussion. Are you of the opinion that maybe even those who started this particular narrative didn't have the blessings of the top leadership?
Well, the way I look at the president is a person with a plan. And he wants to use every opportunity he has in this first term he has, which he already has in hand, to deliver for the people of Kenya. So that if he's going to be given a second chance, it will be on the merit of what he has delivered on the first term. So for the young people who probably are serving their first term as members of parliament, or even the second term as members of parliament, it's quite unfortunate that they are using their newfound power to frustrate the very person who took a gamble and had them elected. Because most of them would not have been elected if the president did not give them a chance. So they should listen to this man, because the most important thing in leadership is to have mentors, follow what your mentor is telling you, and when you reach at a point where you feel you have learned enough, you can now say, after serving for 5 years and having done the following, I have the right to go and say the following to the public. But I don't think most of them have the authority to come and demand to Kikuyu, to Central Kenya people about succession. Most of them have not been in public office for more than 10 years or 5 years or even 2 years for that matter. They are very young. They don't know anything about governance. And that's why you find right now in this government, it is being accused of corruption, because the people at the very top who have been elected, who are supposed to check what is happening, they don't have the capacity. They have not taken time to learn how to do public administration, which is a very difficult issue if you don't take time to understand it. But it can be very easy if you take time to understand how public administration is all about. Otherwise, right now, things down here is chaos. And the very people who are supposed to provide oversight, provide policy direction, speak to the policy of the government, help the Ruto government communicate its agenda, help the Ruto administration communicate what he wants to deliver, are busy talking about taxation politics. We have seen this administration come up with very good manifestos. For example, the affordable housing, affordable health care, food security, manufacturing and job creation. But pick for me 5 or 6 MPs, the young ones, who can be able to articulate on those agendas effectively for Kenyans to understand. The only thing they can articulate effectively is succession politics, which is very unfortunate.
And that's where we now want to come into engineer. You picked that particular area because we're coming now to the second year of this particular government. And again, recently, the president has been in quite a number of areas, regions in the country, and telling the masses that we are now stable as a country as far as the economy is concerned, and bringing out the issue of the debt burden that, according to the Kenya Council government, was really a big threat to the state of the economy of this particular country. But according to the government, according to the president, at least for now, the debt burden has, to some good percent, been fixed. And according to him now, it's ensuring, or now at least helping wananchi to at least make their lives much better. But I think, engineer, there are so many Kenyans who are not really understanding or really cannot be in a position to comprehend what the president is actually telling us, that maybe during the first year, most Kenyans had to grapple with the harsh economic times, and now they can really look forward to some better kind of condition as we progress.
Well, the challenge we have with this government is communication. They have great ideas, but the challenge it has had is how do we communicate these issues in a very simple term. You've talked about the debt burden, but I want to take you back on, for example, the G2G deal on oil. It was sold as the cure for the scarcity of the dollar, scarcity of fuel in our petrol stations, scarcity of, the weakening of the Kenya shilling to the dollar. But right now, the Kenya shilling is very weak. And they are saying, we want to abandon this deal. Communication is very important. Many Kenyans will not understand why the sudden change of policy. So even this issue of debt burden, it's not that the debt has reduced. It is still huge. Okay? It is very huge, to be very fair to Kenyans. It is over 10 trillion. The only thing that we have done is that when there was a payment due, we sacrificed everything else to pay that debt. We said we will delay CDF money, we'll delay capitation for schools, we'll delay everything to clear that payment that was due that day. It's not that the debt has reduced. There are still many other payments to be made. Okay? What the government has done and what people need to understand is that what we were supposed to pay at a certain time, we were able to pay. Unlike other countries like Ethiopia and Ghana, who failed to do that. Are you understanding me? The other thing that we have failed to communicate clearly to Kenyans is that the issue of paying debts is a responsibility of every Kenyan in terms of contributing to the tax base. And therefore, as we keep complaining about the economic being tough, we must be reminded we have to continue working so hard to do whatever it takes to meet our economic obligations, so that we are able to, the next payment when it's due, we pay. But when we relax and say now things are tough, me I've given up, we will not be able to pay those. So the one thing we need to understand, we must start revamping our economic basis, wherever it is, whatever you do, keep doing it, so that you can be able to contribute economically to your livelihood and to paying the next payment when it is due.
And engineer, that is very helpful because the point you out. So initially, maybe Kenyans would have excused the government for that particular step that we took, which maybe most people believe that if they did take that step as a country, we have been in a very bad situation. But so how do you see now as we can continue in this particular year, even as we manage and even as we become accountable and we fulfill the obligation to pay what is due in terms of debt, how can the government also balance this with other aspects of the economy? So that actually Kenya can also be in a position to see and realize that whatever it is that we have promised, we can actually see the promises translating to actually projects on the ground.
You know, everything that was promised by Kenya Kwanza is not that William Ruto, Mudavadi, and Wetangula had some money kept somewhere which they'll come and pump into this economy. They didn't have their own money. What they said, if we get your money, we'll use it this way to make your life better. But if we fail to produce that money over the next 3 years or 5 years, none of those things that Kenya Kwanza promised will be delivered. So this thing we call government is not some human beings stuck somewhere with money that will go and start now drawing towards the Kenya Kwanza plan. No. Government is me and you. Okay? Whatever little will contribute towards this economy will go towards realizing the Kenya Kwanza plan. And that's where the element of accountability and leadership is very important. So, is your leader accountable to you? Are you accountable to yourself? Is the leadership that you elected doing what is required of him or her towards providing the direction that is required for this country in terms of social programs, economic programs, and political programs? Because politics takes 80% of what we discuss in this country. Whereas that should be 20 or 30% of what we discuss. 50% of our discussion should be based on the economy, so that it can support the politics and the social welfare of the country. But as long as we keep preoccupying ourselves with 80% of our conversations on politics and assuming that there is some government out there to contribute to our economic well-being and social well-being, we will fail. So what we need to accept is that we have a responsibility politically, socially, and economically towards checking our leaders, checking corruption, checking the economic well-being of our country. So if you engage in bad politics, then it will bring bad economy. If you engage in bad politics, our health infrastructure will collapse. We have cases we have had where a good functioning health facility is being fought over and lives at risk. People have died because of the issues that are being fought over. So that is what clearly shows, if you preoccupy ourselves with this kind of politics, our social infrastructure, which matters very much, will suffer. We have heard of now over 300,000 students who have not joined Form 1 week later. And most of them is because they don't have enough money to take their children to school. That's a serious problem. Despite there being inadequate bursaries all over. We have the MCA's bursary, governor's bursary, MP, women rep, all these are bursaries. But it seems these bursaries only go to the politically correct people. Yet the majority of Kenyans who deserve to be supported don't get. This is what we call bad politics. That's why we have 20% of the candidates who did the exams stuck at home. It's very sad. So we need to appreciate that our politics has got us where we are, and we must resist moving forward with that kind of politics. I have chosen to resist, and that's why I want to talk to the leaders in office, that they are failing us. And I also want to talk to Kenyans. You're also failing us when you don't voice these issues. And I also want to talk to the media, that you need to start understanding the gravity of this matter. If Ghana has defaulted on its economy, on its debt obligations, if Ethiopia has defaulted on debt, how safe are we? It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. I'll give you an example. We are complaining about the currencies weakening. If you go to Nigeria, if you went to Nigeria early last year, Naira was exchanging at $1 to 350 to the Naira. If you went there late last year, the same Naira was exchanging at 800. So we are complaining here about us moving from 120 to 160. Nigeria, it has gone 2 times plus. So the whole world is suffering because of inflation. Okay? Don't blame it on William Ruto. Don't blame it on Gachagua. Let us join hands and do what matters most to lift ourselves from this challenge. And that means we must start doing business with our neighbors. For example, Uganda, Tanzania here. We must make sure that our neighbors are not blocking their borders from us, because they are the only people who we can rely on. Do you understand? I can go buy things in Uganda with a Kenya shilling. I don't need dollars. I can go buy things from Tanzania with Kenya shilling. You understand? We need to start building the economic infrastructure within the EAC. And we are a leader there. We have a huge market to rely on. That's where we need to start. Not this politics of Gachagua and Didi Nyoro. That's a waste of time.
Thank you so much, Engineer. As we come to the close of this particular discussion, and of course, so if you were to project this year, 2024, of course, we know the President started on the affordable housing project has been quite a number of areas doing this. How do you view this, maybe about really going to make lives of quite a number of Kenyans better in terms of maybe those who are going to occupy the houses, those who are going also to be recruited, or those who are actually going to get the opportunities in the building and construction. And other than that, what else would you think if the government was to roll out the common man should actually feel on the ground?
Well, for me, I come from a construction background, and therefore, when I see the construction sector being given attention, I appreciate. But I also want to caution the government that construction is not the only cure to our economic challenges. It's just a small part of what we need to do to help many of the Kenyans improve in terms of their livelihoods. And therefore, we should not put too much focus on just this one thing called housing and forget other important things like making sure manufacturing is able to come back to where it was 10, 20 years ago. We need to address issues of food security. Those are the most important things at the moment. That the farmers in Kenya are able to produce, that food is not lost, it's able to reach every part of the country, and we're supposed to have enough reserves. We are lucky we have produced enough through the fertilizer program. But we need to plan the storage, we need to plan for more productivity, we need to plan for more people joining farming as an economic activity, especially the young people. We need to open more of the land that is sitting idle to farming. We need to harness better technology to have that land arable, especially in areas like Rift Valley, Western Kenya, where, for example, a lot of land is sitting on sugarcane and sugar farmers are not benefiting. Can we use that land for other things where those farmers can also benefit? Can we look at Central Kenya? If there are produce that is not bringing money for these farmers, can we change the narrative? We cannot remain the same way forever. When the rest of the world is changing, also Kenya should change. Some of the top biggest companies today in the world are tech companies. Even our biggest tech contributor today is a technology company, Safaricom. You understand? Which was not there, which was not doing the contribution as it is doing now 20 years ago. 20 years ago, the biggest taxpayer was an alcohol company. Meaning, Kenyans needed to drink more to meet our tax requirements. But today, what we need Kenyans to do is call more, be online more, so that we can be able to pay our tax contribution. That's how the economy has shifted from alcohol to ICT. Okay? You understand me? So what else do we need to plan for the next 5 years? I believe manufacturing is the area to go, because after COVID, companies and countries realized supply chain is a very important integral in the success of any business. When I say supply chain, means if I am able to buy my finished product, it should be within a very short time. China was locked for many months because of COVID. Right now, the Red Sea, we cannot have any ships passing there because of the chaos in Gaza and Israel. Can we take advantage of this chaos, even in the one in Ukraine and Russia, to start revamping our ability to produce locally and sell within the region? Are you getting me? If we don't now shift our conversation from now technology to manufacturing, we'll be stuck there in technology, and it's an area where it's already mature. It's already mature. You understand me? It's already mature. The cost of doing business is becoming low. Safaricom will start now reporting lesser and lesser profitability because the area is becoming mature. We need to now look for other areas that are new. We need to innovate in other areas so that we can be able to take full advantage. And we have a very good thing that we have here, human capital, which can be able to support not just the region, but the whole of Africa, if we take full advantage of it. All these cares in West Africa, North Africa. We can take advantage because we are a stable region and use that to leverage and grow our economic base here.
Engineer, we're pressed for time, but we really want to appreciate your contribution, your presence in the Leadership Wednesday program for today. With those who are very, very great insights. We believe that our viewer has really benefited. And even those in leadership, they feel challenged, like something they need to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And we trust that whatever we have spoken today will change the narrative of leadership in this country. Let us put politics behind. Let us focus on being good leaders. And it's only one person who can lead at any one time. Right now we have William Ruto. Let him lead. And also let allow Raila to lead the opposition. Let us allow Mother Kome to lead the judiciary. Let us allow Wetangula to lead the legislature. And everybody to do their work. And even the fourth estate, the media, can you allow yourself to be independent so that you are not influenced by the noise from these other people? We need to hear better conversations in your media house that is focused on helping the Mwananchi understand governance, economy, social programs, education issues, so many things. I'll give you an example that we have not discussed. The children who are doing JSS, grade 8, were made to buy books, which very soon will be redundant because subjects were merged. How much money was wasted? Over 50% of the books that were bought. Now they are being told those books are supposed to be merged into one book so that they come from 8 subjects to 4 subjects. That is waste. Didn't somebody see and advise parents? So next time we come, can we discuss education?
Thank you, Engineer. Chris was very there. Exactly, and that is Engineer Chris Wadhimba, and he has actually put it. You can be sure when you are tuned into MBCI TV, you will be kept posted and enlightened and also updated with all these critical matters in our society concerning governance, concerning leadership in all our sectors. And of course, Kage, you've had Engineer there. Of course, we've talked about all these issues. Yes. And he's been very, very candid elaborating. I know we have just a few minutes, but what we can pick, maybe the key issues. Like, for example, we can say categorically that if we allow our politicians to engage in early campaigns, number one, they lose focus. So it basically means they are not going to implement the programs that they had actually promised to Wananchi.
I love his parting shots in terms of allowing the independency of our institutions. And he has clearly said that let us allow President Ruto to do his work. The judiciary, opposition, Raila to do his work in opposition, judiciary the same, and even legislature. Sure. The independence of our institutions are very important in service delivery. If we allow, we have the uncontrolled loggerheads between our institutions, nothing is going to move. You're right. Because Parliament, or rather the executive, needs Parliament to pass its budgets. Parliaments need executive to be able to implement some projects. Sure. Judiciary needs to countercheck both the Parliament and even the executive to ensure that all the legislations are implemented. You see, opposition needs to be there to countercheck what is happening within our governance. And
that's why we are saying, though they are autonomous, they are interdependent.
Very true.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, I think that was a very key area. And the other thing that he also talked about, these early campaigns can also be the source of what we can actually call mismanagement of resources. And that is where corruption comes in.
Yes. Yes. For example, if someone is eyeing for a bigger seat, and already he is sitting on a particular seat which has been budgeted for, it is very easy for this person to divert the resources for early campaign. And he has very well talked about the Mount Kenya region, where the succession politics is very rife, and said that if we focus our energies on succession politics, then our developments are going to be forgotten, right? And therefore, it's good for the top leaders, the president and the deputy president, to make sure that they don't allow or create an environment of early campaigns 1.5 years after the inauguration of the new government. And also, you talked about the bad politics, the way it affects every sector, for example, health sector. If you have bad politics, it affects our education sector, our health sector, and every sphere of our activities. And therefore, we need to manage our politics. They don't become explosive.
Exactly.
Right.
And Kagi, one more thing, even as we continue with finding out how to better our economy, is the aspect of ensuring that now we can create an avenue or a platform for this country to do more on the manufacturing sector.
Right.
And he has actually even given us examples of other countries like China, which were very much affected when we had the COVID-19. But because of that particular area and focusing on it, they have done very well. So it's at the high time to have resources brought together to ensure that we have Kenya being a manufacturing giant.
Yes, and finally he talked about an inflation and clearly said that we should not only blame the president for what is happening in our country, and he says the whole world is going through the same suffering.
Exactly, And we are pressed for time, but that was awesome, a very, very candid discussion that we've had here today on Matters Leadership, and I can see quite a number of our viewers were tuned in this particular discussion, and thank you so much everywhere that you've been getting us from. I can see Cyrus Pathenalo, Neshi Esudu Mwangi wa Iragu, Emmanuel Butiki, and Mugaka, and so many others who are tuned into this particular discussion. Of course, we'll do it again next week at a time like today's. Until then, we want to wish you a blessed afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. My name is Mangicho Mola.
Yes, from here, my name is Paul Kagi. Have a blessed day ahead.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Are you ready to unlock the door to a future filled with endless possibilities? At Goshen Medical and Technical College School of Engineering, we are committed to shaping the engineers of tomorrow. With our expert faculty